Everyone knows their sun sign. Almost nobody checks their moon or rising, and that's usually why a horoscope feels wrong. These three placements are your big three, and together they explain more about you than your sun sign ever could alone. Here's what each one actually does. This channel teaches you to read your own real chart, one piece at a time. And today, we're covering the three placements almost every astrologer starts with: your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. What each one actually governs, how they're different from each other, and why reading all three together tells you more than any single one ever could. Let's start with the one you already know, your sun sign. It's the sign the sun was sitting in on the day you were born. The placement every horoscope column uses, and for most people, the only one they ever learn. In astrology, the sun is read as your core identity, your basic sense of self, what drives you, the you underneath everything else. It's not your whole personality. It's more like the headline, the part of you that stays recognizably you, no matter what room you walk into. Your moon sign is the placement almost nobody checks, and it's often the actual reason a sun sign horoscope feels off. The moon moves fast. It changes signs roughly every 2.5 days. So unlike your sun, which holds still for about a month at a time, your moon sign is genuinely specific to you and not to a whole month of birthdays. In astrology, the moon is read as your emotional layer, how you actually feel underneath the surface, what makes you feel safe, how you react before you've had time to think about it. If the sun is who you are on the outside, the moon is what's happening on the inside. Two people can share the exact same sun sign and have completely different moons, one steady and even-keeled, one intense and quick to react, and that difference alone can make two identical horoscopes describe two very different people. The third piece is your rising sign, also called your ascendant, and it isn't a planet at all. It's the zodiac sign that was coming up over the eastern horizon at the exact minute and place you were born. Because the sky rotates once a day, your rising sign depends on your birth time down to the minute. Shift it by 2 hours, and it's often a completely different sign. In astrology, the rising sign is read as your first impression, the energy, style, and instinctive approach people notice about you before they actually get to know you. There's more nuance to what it does than just how people see you. It also sets the starting point for your entire house wheel, which is a big enough topic that it gets its own video next. For now, just know this: it's the most time-sensitive placement of the three, and the one every horoscope skips entirely because a horoscope never asks what time you were born. Here's the actual math on why one placement was never going to be enough. There are 12 possible sun signs, 12 possible moon signs, and 12 possible rising signs. Multiply those together, 12 times 12 times 12, and you get 1728 possible big three combinations before a single house or aspect even enters the picture. Your sun sign alone puts you in a room with roughly 1 out of every 12 people alive. Same core identity theme, completely different emotional world, completely different way of coming across to people. Your full big three narrows that down to a genuinely small, specific group. That's the actual gap between "my horoscope never quite fits" and "okay, that's actually me." It was never that horoscopes are fake, exactly. It's that they were only ever reading a third of your chart. And here's a common question worth answering directly. Which one is the real you? None of them on their own. That's the honest answer. They're not competing for the same job. Your sun describes your core identity, your moon describes your inner emotional world, and your rising describes your outward first impression. Asking which one is really you is a bit like asking whether a photograph's subject, lighting, or framing is the real picture. All three are doing different work on the same image. Let's put all three together on a real chart. Meet Maya again. Born March 14, 1992, at 6:42 in the morning in Chicago. Her sun is at 24 degrees Pisces, so her core identity theme is Pisces, imaginative, absorbing, tuned in to feeling before fact. That's the one placement any horoscope column already knew about her. Her moon is at 25 degrees Cancer, and Cancer happens to be the moon's own sign, the one it's considered most naturally at home in, which makes this an especially strong placement for her. Emotionally, a Cancer moon tends to process the world through memory, home, and the people closest to it. A noticeably different flavor than her dreamy Pisces sun, even though the two signs sit right next to each other on the wheel. And her rising sign is 9 degrees Aries, direct, fast-moving, quick to act. So on a first meeting, Maya can come across as decisive and energetic, even though underneath that Aries rising, her actual core identity runs gentle and imaginative, and her emotional world runs quiet and protective. 3 placements, 3 different signs, 1 person, and that's exactly why She's a Pisces was never going to be the whole story on Maya. Here's the part I want you to walk away with. If you know your birth date, time, and place, you already have everything needed to find your own big 3. You just haven't seen the moon and rising pieces laid out before, the way we just laid out Maya's. That's genuinely most of the gap between a horoscope that never quite fits and a chart that actually sounds like you. And if this is the first time anyone's actually broken down your moon and rising for you, instead of just your sun, a quick tap on the like button genuinely helps this reach more people who felt that same disconnect. Quick honesty check, same as always. Knowing your big 3 doesn't predict what happens to you today, and it isn't a personality test with one right answer either. Think of it less like a fortune and more like 3 mirrors held up at once. One for who you are, one for how you feel, and one for how you come across. What you actually do with what you see in them is entirely up to you. So, in 3 lines, your sun is your core identity, the placement every horoscope already uses. Your moon is your emotional layer, changing every couple of days, and usually the missing piece. And your rising sign is your first impression, set by your exact birth time and the most personal of the 3. Read together. They explain a lot more than any one of them ever could alone. Next video, we're going deeper on just one of these 3, your rising sign, because It's How People See You is only half the story, and the other half is where it gets genuinely interesting. Subscribe so it shows up for you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.